Mayor, you may proceed.
Thank you, Max. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Monday, February 7th, 2022. This is a virtual special budget meeting, special budget workshop meeting of the commissioners of the city of Rehoboth Beach. Out of an abundance of caution of the pandemic, we, of course, are conducting our meetings virtual for the time being. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 2:01 p.m. And I'd like to start off with roll call. If the commissioners would wave to their constituents when I call a name, I appreciate it. Commissioner Tony Sharp.
Here.
Commissioner Tim Bennett.
Here.
Commissioner Susan Gay.
Here.
Commissioner Patrick Gossett.
Here.
Commissioner Ed Stranowski.
Here.
Commissioner Jay Legree.
Here.
And I'm Mayor Stan Mills. We have a full complement of the mayor and commissioner, so we're able to formally conduct business today because we have a quorum. I'd also like to identify participants today as City Manager Sharon Lynn, Public Works Superintendent Kevin Williams, Project Supervisor Evan Miller, Ann Womack, City Secretary, Max Hamby, and who else we got up here? Max Handy and Brant McCormick from the IT department, and Liz Lingo will be with us, and we'll introduce others as they come aboard, additional participants. We'd like to thank everybody that's watching today virtually, and also would like to thank those that have pre-registered to speak in advance. I'd like to list the names of those that have pre-registered. Carol Everhart of the Rehoboth Beach, Dewey Beach Chamber of Commerce. Jen Carroll here on behalf of Main Street. Robin Rosenfeld Burrow from Main Street. Jerry Philbin, Main Street. Cindy Lovett, Main Street. Mike Edelin, Marketing Manager at Jack Lingo. Walter Brittingham, Rick Perry, Dan Slagle, and Greer Manival of Rehoboth Beach, Main Street. Nancy Alexander of the Rehoboth Beach Historical Society and Museum, and number 12, Allison Miller of the Rehoboth Beach Public Library. Thank you all for pre-registering to speak. I will be calling on you at the appropriate times during the meeting so that you can give us your input or feedback. Very much appreciated. I would like everybody to know that other than the commissioners and city staff, unless you're speaking, please make sure your video is not on, and we will call on you at appropriate times again. With that, I'd like to identify that there are support documents. Whenever we have a document that supports an agenda topic that's ready in advance of a meeting, we embed it into the agenda, and they are available online on our city portal. Just look for the agenda. Look for the agenda support documents, and poof, there they should appear in front of you. As far as identifying correspondence relevant to budget talks, we have 11 pieces of correspondence received in time to be embedded in the agenda. We've received some from, for instance, Rick Perry after the fact, a little too late. So we have received others and want to acknowledge them, but they may not be embedded in the agenda. With that, the correspondence is there. You can access it online. We've got 10 pieces of support email, if you will, for Main Street, and one support for the Rehoboth Beach Public Library. The purpose of this meeting, of course, is to discuss the draft budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023, including capital improvement program, update of the 5-year projects as presented by the city manager. The sequence of our meeting today will be as follows. The first item of business, we will talk about Rehoboth Beach fiscal year 22 contributions, or 22-23 contributions. We'll start off with talking with the folks at Rehoboth Beach Main Street. Then we'll talk with the folks at Rehoboth Beach Fire Company. And number 3, the folks will talk with the Rehoboth Beach Public Library. And number 4, we'll talk with probably Nancy Alexander, I guess, from the Rehoboth Beach Museum to learn more about their projects and their past year, what they've done, and what they are requesting for this year. And then we'll get, after we accomplish that, we'll talk about city items, including leased vehicle expense summary and other items such as the, who's on our list today? The licensing department and the parking and recreation department. With that, Sharon, I'll turn it over to you, I guess, to call upon the Main Street folks.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I thought we'd get into the contributions first, and as you said, Mayor, and then talk about any items that commissioners might have requested and other city staff items. So Main Street is up first. Not certain who's leading it off and doing the presentation. Is that you, Dan?
Hi.
Hi, Dan.
Oh, right, okay. Share video. Okay.
Hi, Dan, we hear you.
There we go.
Put it in presentation mode. Right there. You got it. Good. Come on, get in presentation. It's not in presentation mode. Please go. Okay.
Very good. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. First of all, RBMS would like to thank everyone for your previous support. The mayor, the city manager, and the commissioners. We really appreciate your support. I wanted to start off with a presentation for everyone to look at. I have here with me Cindy Lovett, Susie Martin, Jerry Philman, Steve Kirsten, and Jill. And I will start. Okay, who we are. We are Rehoboth Beach ambassadors, and we're really proud. Main Street has the economic vitality, design and beautification, organization, promotion, and communication committees, which is volunteer driven. Our focus from the canal to the boardwalk is our goal. We are Main Street, who we are. We're an accredited nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting residents and businesses. What we are a part of, we are a volunteer driven organization affiliated with National Main Street. We have one paid employee, which is me. We have a lot of our Main Street volunteers for our board members. We have 14. We have 30 volunteer committee members, 113 RBMS volunteers, and a paid social media contractor. We're very proud of 2021 of 4,355 total volunteer hours. Our plan for this year, 2022, is to create an advisory board of downtown business owners that would meet quarterly. Everyone loves outdoor dining. 37,220 was raised by RBS through donations and grants. 87 jersey walls, 35 earth planters, and 50 planters filled by the Rehoboth Beach Fire Department. And also Bloom gained 35 new planters from RBMS. We're really proud to, during the pandemic and even now, we were provided 55-gallon drums of sanitizer dispersed and donated by Rehoboth Main Street to all the businesses downtown. Also, I've given out sanitizer kits, and we've also created Respect Rehoboth posters to distribute around town. And I truly was Santa who came to town this past Christmas. Economic Vitality is one of our committees. We have created workshops throughout the year through Googling and social media, and also we've provided info on grant opportunities to businesses and posted job opportunities on the website for downtown businesses. We've had round table discussions with business owners and residents. I'm going to turn it over to Steve Kirsten now.
Hi, this year we had our inaugural Reefs Across America project. It was held at the Airport Cemetery. It was sponsored by two groups, Main Street and Rehoboth Beach Homeowners Association. We had 180 wreaths that were honoring our veterans. We had we had over 100 people participating, which included Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cape people, all kinds of people, all the communities. And we had 11 partners that shared in either the cost or the setup and promotion of the event, and including TV, a lot of TV advertising with it.
Okay, I'm turning over to Cindy Lovett, our design committee. Chair?
Okay, so in Rehoboth and Bloom for 2021, we ended up with 70 volunteers, taking care of 98 planters around the town and 2 gardens. And the 35 pedestrian planters got relocated around town, and thank you, city guys, for doing that for us.
Susie Martin, our co-chair.
So also under the design committee, we do the Cottage in Town Awards, where we have 4 separate awards throughout the city. We also did 4 sign and awning grants for $500 each. We are able to raise funds for 64 new beautiful banners that were placed up. And then Paul Lovett through Rehoboth Beach Main Street did 40 narrated presentations of his diorama that depicts Rehoboth Beach in 1910.
Our community unity dinner through the promotion committee was a huge success. We had 400 plus that dined with us, 25 plus volunteers for the community unity, 30 plus entertained, and Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. And we had 1 icon honored. And we distributed our official guidebooks, which had coupons and lots of great information. Our communication committee, I'm going to turn that over to Jerry Philbin, our secretary of our board.
Thank you, Dan. So this year we created a communication committee to function with the other 4 committees, largely because the demand was getting greater and greater for things like social media, for tools like social media, as we promoted and advertised the businesses and the events in town. In its first year of publication, we have now put out 9 editions of it. Very happy to say that it has an opening rate of 53%. We've looked at some of the other not-for-profits in town, and their open rates appear to be down about half that. We have at the moment 930 plus recipients. It grows between each edition. And so we're very happy that this has come up from about 600 to 930 since the beginning of the publication of the newsletter. We are also responsible for the development of press releases, particularly around events. And part of the plan for this year would be to, with grant money, bring on a communications director, communications and marketing director half-time to help us move the word even further into nearby urban markets. We have over 6,000 visitors to our social media sites, and this is another place where we will begin, or we will continue to promote the message about what a nice place Rehoboth is.
This is Mayor Mills. My screen went totally black about 2 minutes ago. Is it just me, or did you stop sharing, or something happened?
Oh,
Mine's on.
Is yours?
is yours blank, Edward?
No, I can see everything fine.
I can as well.
Okay, well, we'll continue. I'll work on
Okay.
it with AT&T. It just, my screen went black and I was checking. Go ahead and continue.
Okay.
All right. We are, we wanted to toot our own horn, and 35 to 150 through the pandemic membership increased over 2 years through the pandemic, which we're really proud of. We just won the Southern Delaware Tourism Award, and RBMS is our national accreditation for the 2nd year, which is we're really proud of. Being accredited Main Street, we're able to go after grants and also be able to do different programs. We also applied for 6 grants. We've had 4 awards we received. We have grants proposals that are submitted, are pending, and in the works. Top 5 things folks like about living in downtown Rehoboth. I've been here 22 years. I'm very proud of being part of this community. Is the ocean and the beach, the restaurants, the residents, a friendly atmosphere, also shopping and being a safe town to live in. Words used by the residents to describe down Rehoboth. I'm very proud to say that we're pleasant, nostalgic, proud, and convenient to near Route 1, Route Rehoboth. Our downtown businesses are constantly under the lure of the Route 1 option. Our goal is to assist the business community to maintain the lifestyle which the residents and visitors have come to enjoy. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to our secretary and Jill, our treasurer, and
So, Jill, can I-
Well, I was just gonna say, you notice that, we have, 39% of the expenses of our budget go towards programs and / events. That leaves approximately 61% for operational expenses. As you can see, admin, director salary, social media, and accounting.
One critical thing to add is that you'll notice that the entire package this year reflects a budget value of $195,000. It's important to note that under the part of the pie chart that is programs at $76K, 30 of that is critically dependent upon getting grants that we have applied for in order to further the mission of Main Street.
And also new downtown fund for residents in 2022. We have a self-guided historical walking tour we're working on, a sip and stroll art and business fashion show planned, Italian night. Bloom is planning an oldies dance, gumbo crawl the end of April, a holiday stroll event, and resident and business mixers. These are all planned for 2022. The goals for 2022 continue to enhance our website and social media tools, increase resident focus events and promotions, increase grant and other financial opportunities, enhance assistance to downtown businesses, and provide one-on-one liaison to each business member. Yeah. Any questions at this time? Should I start shooting?
Yeah, and if you could take the,
Yeah, I'm doing that right
take
now.
that down so the mayor can see everyone on the screen.
There we go. We're going to take commissioner questions, Commissioner Sharp, and then Commissioner Stranowski.
First, I just want to thank everybody for taking your time to come and visit with us today. And it's so nice to see the compilation of everything that Main Street does. I just have a question because it's posed to me most often by constituents, and it's relevant to economic vitality and development. The question I bet all of you've had as well is, when are we going to get a bakery? When are we going to get a pharmacy? And when are we going to get a dry cleaner? So the reason I'm asking is so I'll have more valid information to share. And I'm just wondering if y'all have an approach for that, or if that's really out of your scope.
Now, I have actually reached out to a lot of the landlords for when businesses leave and new businesses are coming in town to say what our needs are for downtown. You know, it's one of the things we've been brought up.
Tony, it's Commissioner Sharp, it's Cindy. What was this? I heard the bakery and the dry cleaner. What was the third request?
Pharmacy.
Pharmacy. Okay. Good. All right.
So anything y'all can do on that would be great and very much appreciated. And it's another reason to keep folks in town, especially during the off season. Thank y'all.
This is true. Thank you.
Ed, before I get to you, I'd like to pause a second and explain to everybody that on the commissioners, we have liaisons to different groups. We've got Commissioner Jay Legree as the liaison to the Rehoboth Beach Historical Society, and Commissioner Stranowski is the liaison to the Cape and Open Senior Center, but also liaison to Rehoboth Beach Main Street. And their positions are merely that they help report back and forth between the commissioners and those agencies and keep us informed about what's going on. As far as I know, neither of you are board members of those groups. If you are, let us know. But Ed, you're no longer a board member, I think.
Correct. Yeah, I was happy to previously be a board member of Main Street, but I resigned I think in early December. So I'm no longer on the board.
So you're happier now?
Well, Mayor, you made me take two other committees, and I just didn't have the time.
You are committed. Thank you, Ed. And Ed, you are next with your hand up. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank the folks from Main Street. For me, I'm a very data-driven person, and I liked how you display things by the numbers. That was very helpful. So I just thank you for doing it in that way. It was much easier to see everything that Rehoboth Main Street does and the impact on the community in that way by the numbers. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bennett.
Yes, hi. This is probably to Dan or someone else at Main Street. Congratulations on the increase in membership. I had, I guess, an overall question of, do you have a goal for next year or the coming years for how many additional businesses you would bring on? And do you ever get pushback? And if so, what are the barriers for somebody becoming a member? Are there reasons people give you for not wanting to join? Because you had some great success in the last couple of years increasing membership. I was just wondering why somebody would not want to be part of Main Street.
That's a good question. This is Dan, Executive Director. I'm out and about meeting with members and everything. It's getting the word out. And what I believe everyone is seeing how much Main Street has done over the last 2 years in getting the word out. And I believe it's important that we just keep on promoting and talk about Main Street and all the things that we can provide for downtown.
As to why someone doesn't want to join, I don't think you've had a discussion like that, Dan.
I haven't, no.
Commissioner, this is Jerry Philbin from the board at Main Street. We've set a provisional goal of an increase in membership of 20% in 2022.
Great, thank you.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Legree, please.
I really like Rehoboth and Bloom. I think that's one of the greatest things you folks do. How do you raise funds for that? How does the funding occur for Rehoboth and Bloom, and how much funding do you get every year?
Well, we were supposed to have an oldies dance. It's now been rescheduled 4 times, and that's going to be our major fundraiser every year, we hope. And we get donations. Dogfish Head and Shell has come through with donations this year. Well, 2021, not yet this year. But we also have planner sponsorships where someone can sponsor a planner for $400, and there's a plaque that then goes in the planter in honor of or in honor of a business or whatever they'd like to do. And people, we just get donations. Last year we raised around 10,000. Unfortunately, our expenses were 11,000-ish. So we got to do a lot of fundraising for 2022. And we hope we have our dance is scheduled for April 29th as of now. So we've got our fingers and our flowers crossed.
Sounds great. From your conversation, it sounds like you were $1,000 or so short, and
Yeah.
but you do a great job.
Thanks, Jay. Or Commissioner Liberty.
Any other commissioner comments? If not, we'll go to the public. I'd like to make note that we've got 12 people signed up to speak. Some of them are the presenters, so that'll cut the number down. But if we let each member go the full 3 minutes, then we end up, that's over 2 hours worth of public comment, and which we're willing to do. But if you have something to say that where you've already done a letter, just please reference the letter. And anything you say have something different than the letter. If you follow behind somebody and you agree with what they're saying, ditto will suffice, because it's valid for us, and we will give it the appropriate weight, just like an original note. And if you likewise don't want to speak, then the word just saying pass will keep us moving along as quickly as we can. So in reference to Rehoboth Beach Main Street donation program, Carol Everhart, anything to say?
I'm not sure she's on. I don't think she is.
Doesn't look like she's on. Jen Carroll may not be on. Robin Aburo.
I'm Jen Carroll. I'm on.
Jen, do you want to say anything?
I just want to say that I'm very proud to be a board member of Rehoboth Beach Main Street, And I think what we do for the community is vital and very important.
Thank you,
And
Jen. Oh, go ahead.
that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Robin Burrow? I don't see her on. If we miss her, we'll come back to her. Jerry Philbin, you just spoke. Cindy Lovett?
And our presentation said it all. Thanks.
Very good, thank you. Mike Edelin?
Not on the call.
Walter Brittingham?
Not on the call.
Rick Perry?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just also want to thank the members representing Main Street for a really thoughtful and informative presentation. I think they did a great job. I apologize for my letter being so late, but I've been under the weather the last few days. But I do hope that you will all take the opportunity to take my comments into consideration. I've had the opportunity to watch Main Street over the last couple of years since its reboot, and I think that what they've done, and particularly the help and assistance they provided to the businesses during the pandemic, was truly remarkable and made a difference, I think, in the sustainability of our downtown community. And many other things they do, as I outlined in my letter, I think speak equally as well for the value that they have in our community. To Commissioner Tim Bennett's question, I've got some background on that. And when I first got involved, with Main Street back in 2015, and I would go around town to the merchants and ask them, why aren't you a member of Main Street? The constant response I got from many of them, particularly the smaller proprietors, was that even the relatively small fee by many standards was a lot to them on narrow margins. And they felt that Main Street wasn't doing anything for them. And so most of them simply gave up memberships. I think the increase that you're seeing now is a demonstration of the recognition by the business community of the tremendous work that Main Street is doing to help them, to support them, and to make the downtown a vibrant draw to our residents as well as our visitors and people from around the surrounding communities. And so I hope that you will continue to support Main Street and its efforts, because it benefits all of us. And they have done a great job also of bringing residents and businesses together. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Let's see, Dan and Greer, I assume you have made your presentations, and we have Nancy Alexander from the museum and Allison Miller from the library. We'll get to you at the appropriate time. Is there any further comment from the commissioners? Commissioner LeGree. You're muted.
Are we ready to vote on the, are you looking for a motion to approve their request?
No, we're not. I was not intending to conduct votes today. I thought maybe we'd get through all four of them and then address them one at a time, whatever your pleasure is.
Mayor, I would support that matter of
Patrick.
managing. Yeah, I would support that, listening to all four presentations first and then discussions.
Yeah, then we can go back and have discussions on what they asked for, what the city manager put in the budget, and go forward from there. Is that all right? Any further, let's close out Main Street. Any further comments from the commissioners?
That's fine. And if we have any more questions at the end, I guess we can get them back and ask them again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor, that's my question. Is the expectation that we want everyone to stay on to answer questions at the end? If other questions come up in our discussion, or I just want to set expectations for the presenters.
I would say that would be prudent on behalf of each organization, so it makes them hang around a little while longer. Witness what we go through on a weekly basis. All righty, Dan and Greer, thank you very much. And then crew, Cindy et al., thank you for being there. And at least one of you would hang around for potential questions later. We'd appreciate it. If everybody's okay, then we'll go to the number 2 item, which is the Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Company. Who do we have here? Danny Mitchell, are you president of the fire department? Introduce yourself, Danny.
Yes, I'm Danny Mitchell, president of the Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Department. I've been president for the past 7 years. I believe Chuck was going to get on here. I don't know if he's on here. He's the chief. And we're both citizens of Rehoboth, been here all of our lives. And looking forward to working with the city again continuously. We appreciate everything you guys have done in the past and look to work for the future with some funding to help us accomplish some of our goals.
Thank you, Danny. It does not look like Chuck is on yet, so we'll keep an eye to see if he comes on.
Mayor.
And get back to you. Are there any questions that right
Mayor.
now that anybody has for Danny Mitchell?
Mayor, can you hear me?
We do have support documents from the fire company dated November 22nd.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
The fire chief is here. Would you like to hear
Chuck
from
is
him?
okay.
Yeah.
Chuck, are you on board?
Yes, he's on his way. He's right
Well,
here.
let's pause a minute and give, this is Chuck Snyder, fire chief, be coming on board.
He's right here, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'm in the commissioner's room with Sharon and Kevin and Evan and Bert. Thanks for allowing us to come and make a brief presentation to you. Probably doesn't need a lot of explanation what we do. I think most of you know that. Every time you hear the siren, which is not blowing as much as it used to. But more importantly, when you hear the sirens on the trucks and the ambulances and so forth to go out and give service. And yeah, I'd like to hang around. Hopefully the siren doesn't go off and I got to leave. That would be my excuse, which I think you would understand. But anyway, like Danny said, we appreciate everything you folks have done to us. I think you do have a copy of the letter we sent to you requesting our annual donation. But also in addition to that, we'd like to request a little bit more money. I'd just like to touch on a couple different things. I believe our Vice President, Warren Jones, is on also, and he can answer any questions that maybe I can't as far as the budget, but we did give you a copy of our budget. Our budget this year is a little over $3 million. We're actually ahead. We came in, our income is more than our expenses. We hopefully will keep it that way. A couple things I'd like for you to, if you have it in front of you, but our budget did have a new special ambulance income in there, $250,000 that was shown. That is money that has been reimbursed by the county from last year. We had to include it in this year's budget because we just got the money, we just got the ambulance. So that kind of cancels that out. And then we have another item that we are working on this year. There's a $65,000 grant that we've asked Representative Schwarzkopf and Senator Lopez to assist us with, and they agreed very graciously to each go half with that to help us fund a new brush truck to replace a piece of equipment. If you look at a couple of other things on that budget, you'll see that our employee expense, and we employ 15 full-time employees. Our employee expense is $1,208,000. That's a pretty good chunk of our budget that we have to work with. Anything that we pay out comes out of donations that you folks and everybody else gives to us. We do get some expenses back through billing, but it by no way covers all of our expenses, particularly with the career staff and the maintenance of those units. But like I said, our budget did come out in the black, and we hopefully can stay to that and continue on. I'd just like to run a couple things down. I know, Mayor, I've been a little lax the last couple months getting you a report, but I guarantee you're going to have it this month. I actually was waiting until after this meeting. I have it prepared, but I did not want to put it out there yet. But this year, our total fire calls, and understand, folks, we have a fire district. It's not just the city of Rehoboth. We have the town of Henlopen Acres, the town of Dewey Beach, and a very large unincorporated county area also. But our total fire calls were up this year. We had 748 fire calls. Last year, we were a little under 600, or I'm sorry, a little under 700. We've had almost 3,400, I believe it is, ambulance runs or EMS runs, which also was an increase from the previous year. So things are getting busier as we invite more people to our area and more people come in to live and work in our area. I'd like to say I'm proud of one thing. We did catch a lot of heat about the siren, and we were able to blow the siren only 42 times this year compared to at least 100 times over the last couple of years. So I hope that makes everybody happy. But included in the report that I will give to you, Mayor, for the meeting, I believe on the 18th, will be a copy of this total run volume that we've had, so you folks can look at it, and it's pretty specific. Just another point of interest on it, the city of Rehoboth, the amount of calls that we responded to in the city of Rehoboth, out of that 748 is 165 times. That's just on the fire side. I do not have a figure for the EMS side, but I'm sure it's pretty substantial over that. One of the last things I'd like to talk to you about is we are in the process of trying to replace a 1995 ladder truck. In the letter I sent out, I stated that the National Fire Protection Association, which is it's not a governing agency, it's an agency that puts out suggestions, for lack of a better word, as to what we should be doing and things that we should do to do firefighting and equipment. And one of the things they recommend, and pretty much this is followed nationwide, is that fire apparatus should be replaced every 20 years. As you can see, the 1995 ladder truck is well over that. I stated in the letter that this will not be a project that's going to come in a couple of years. It's going to probably take us all this year to design and get it to a point where we can put it out to bids. And then we will accept bids in from manufacturers to see what we can do, or see what the price range is. Once we decide that, which would probably be in somewhat early 2023, March, April 2023, if we look like we're in pretty good shape, we would sign a contract with that manufacturer. And I'm going to tell you right now, the lead time or the build time for an apparatus as big as this is almost 16 to 18 months. So we actually won't see this device until late 2024 at the earliest, probably early 2025. So we are a few years down the road to getting and replacing this device. And as I said in the letter, new technology and other safety features are incorporated into this and make doing our job a lot safer. One of the things we did ask was that we'd like to have $50,000 extra so that we could place it into what we call our tower campaign, or our new ladder truck fund, which we already have been asking for donations from the public, and the public has been pretty good to us, and we have raised a little bit of money to start with. But the unit itself is probably fully equipped. It's going to be close to $1,800,000, if not almost $2 million. This equipment is not cheap, okay? And it takes a lot of work on our part to try and make this stuff happen. We do get other donations from other entities, but it in no way covers this expense here. I know the city is one part of our fire district. I'm always asked, what do the other cities do? They don't do a lot, not like you folks do, and we're very grateful for what you do. However, we are working on these other cities, meaning Dewey Beach and Henlopen Acres, to help us out. We like to think we're a very affluent area, and I like some of the things that the Main Street said about Pleasant and some of the other things that they talked about the downtown area. We have a very good clientele comes in here. They are somewhat good on donations, but we also feel they could be a little better. We have a tremendous amount of affluent people here that hopefully could make our job a little bit easier. We are volunteers. Other than the 15 guys that we pay to man the EMS, it's all volunteer. So when you call 911 and you've got a fire or ask for help, okay, it's going to be volunteers that are going to come. It's not going to be career people. a career staff would probably cost you several $1 million, and that would only be for the city. For the fire district, it would be a lot of money. So we hope you will consider us, and I'll leave it open if, Warren, if you got anything to add, if you're on, please go ahead.
I don't see,
Warren
I don't see
Jones?
Warren on.
Did Warren sign up?
Chuck,
you
this
know?
is,
He
Chuck,
texted
this is
me.
Mayor Mills. You know, for the lay person, they may not understand that when we talk about the Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Company, we're talking beyond or in addition to the downtown building. Would you quickly explain the extent of the different stations and where they're located and their numbers that all make up the family of Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Company? And then talk about the budget, because the budget likewise, I don't think is specific only to the downtown building. I
This
believe
budget
it's,
that I gave you has nothing to do
all
with
of
downtown building. This is our total budget for our department. Folks, we go from the Indian River Inlet to Route 24. We go west on Route 24 to Angola. We actually go almost out to Burton's Pond. Anything on this side of Burton's Pond and on the south side of Route 24 is Rehoboth Fire Company District. We have 3 fire stations. We have one in town. We have one out on the highway right by the Weiss Market, or what they call the Rehoboth Marketplace. And then we share a joint station on Route 24 with Lewis. This was something we did several years ago to try and serve our districts better. The dividing line being Route 24, instead of us each building a station on one side and the other, we went together, bought a piece of property, created a station, and run jointly out of there. Our budget is the budget. The $3 million budget is the budget for the fire department, the total budget. I can't break down what goes on in town. We do it as a single entity, and then the monies that we have, or the expenses that we have, cover all of our expenses for the 3 stations together. The employees man Station 1 and Station 2. We have 2 employees on 24/7, 365. I hope that answers your question. We've got about 75 volunteers, of which about 40 are very active. We are taking in some new membership. We did something over the last couple of years. We called it an associate membership, where a person who wants to join and offer some help to the fire company can do that, but they don't respond to fires. And we've taken in some pretty good professional people that have helped us with some of this, and are continuing to help us with fundraising and other things that we do. So we are trying to do the best we can, but the fact remains our funding is basically donation oriented.
Thank you, Chuck. Where is the replacement ladder truck to be stationed?
It will probably be stationed at Station 2. Reason
Which
being
is-
is, folks, I don't mean to knock this in thing, but I'm being realistic with you. There's nobody in town that responds. We got 1 or 2 maybe. Okay? It's too expensive to live in town. Our average person, as a member of this fire department, cannot afford to live in town. So most of our response goes out of Station 2 and out of Station 3. Luckily, during the day, there's several of us that do work in town where we can get the engines out. We can get them out in town, but I'm not going to lie to you. The people that respond to the station in town here come from out of town. They don't live in the city limits. They live either in North Dewey Beach on the Forgotten Mile. We got a couple that live out just across the Canal Bridge and Canal Point, and a couple places out there. As far as in town, there's nothing anymore. It's too cost prohibitive to live in town. This is just
Let me end
this is
with
what's
this,
happened over the years,
Chuck,
folks.
just a reminder to everybody that the value of the fire department and not just ambulance calls and fire calls, but I call it pre-deployment. And during this last snowstorm, as you know, I met with you and we did a bridge call together. And the fire department pre-deployed some of their members at the downtown station here so that they would be here and ready to go if called up. And that's just a pat on the back to everybody in your department, Chuck.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
With that, I want to go to some questions from the commissioners, Commissioner Legree and then Commissioner Srnowski. Commissioner Legree.
Is Warren on yet, Mayor? Can you hear me?
No, he's not on.
Okay. Maybe Chuck can help me. Chuck, you guys have 2.8 million in ordinary income, and you got about that in expenses, 2.5, I think. Yeah, 2.5 million in expenses. But you've got 2.5 million in current assets, and you've got 6.8 million in retained earnings. How are you handling that? I should wait and ask Warren. I'm sorry, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Srnaski?
Thank you. Chuck, if you could just explain what a ladder truck is used for, and is that something that vehicle will be used for, calls that are in, happening in Rehoboth, or is a ladder truck one of those, longer, bigger ones that may only be used at condo buildings and hotels, or is a ladder truck used sort of on all calls?
The ladder or aerial truck, okay, is used for anything that we can get it close enough to use. We can use it as a single-family dwelling, or we can use it at a multiple-story dwelling, like the condos, the high-rises, whatever we've got, anything 2 stories and above. It affords us another way to access the building, to get to the roofs, to get up high if we got to get people down. It affords us things that we can do firefighting. We can hook hoses to it. We can squirt a lot of water. It's called a specialty piece, I guess, for lack of a better word. But it's a very integral part of our operation. Our aerial truck responds on every structure fire that we have. Okay, it goes out either first or second, depending on what type of occupancy and hazard it is, based on the way we have our operating procedure set up. Because one of the things we need to do is we need to get it in early, so that we can get it in place before things get jammed up with other apparatus.
Okay, so although it will be stationed down at Station 2, it will be utilized.
Absolutely, that's exactly where it's coming out of right now. The ladder truck that's at Station 2 is what responds in town. The one you see in town, the snorkel, it's actually an antique. It's 1964, so it's got a little age on it, like me. We do test it every year. It is in service, but we don't take it out. Number one, we don't have anybody in town to drive it. So, usually the guys go to Station 2 and they get the more modern ladder truck out to do the things that we need to do. And they're 2 different operations too. One is strictly a basket. The other one has a basket and a ladder on it. So if the ladder needs to be used to climb up or climb down, we can do that.
Thanks. And lastly, are you making a specific ask for a special donation for this ladder truck from the other towns?
We're going to ask, yes. I don't know how successful we're going to be, but we're going to ask.
All right, great. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you. We've got Commissioner Gossett and Commissioner Sharp.
Thank you. Thank you, Chuck, for you and all the members of the fire department of what you do. I know it's a thankless job at times out there. I'm just curious, in developing, this new ladder truck that will be here 24, what have you, have you any sort of future development plans with regards to what's going on in the county and also in the city with, expansion of hotels and density of the population in Rehoboth, as to how to better manage that with your resources, not only from the fleet, but also from actual volunteers? I mean, I know you have some challenges getting volunteers because you said people can't live in town, what have you, but just, strategic planning for 2 and 3 years down the road. Has there been any discussions about that, of how you better manage the growth of not only the surrounding area that you service, but also downtown Rehoboth with the increase in potential hotels and denser buildings?
Commissioner, first off, we have the volunteer fire service in the state really has nothing to do with the buildings and stuff. It's all done through the fire marshal and the local building inspector. I will tell you, in town though, our building inspector has been very good at keeping us in the loop for the things that are coming up. I believe we have appeared before you for a couple projects here. The one out at the, on the Forgotten Mile, where the old, I know it as the AMP because it was the AMP store years ago, but the old thrift store that's out there now, we came in and talked about that. We've been kept in the loop with the New Bellhaven Hotel that they're talking about. We've talked with the folks about the new hotel that's going to go down on State Road, and some other projects around. So yeah, we are kept in the loop, but it's more from a public safety standpoint that we make our comments. In other words, are the necessary fire protection devices and sprinkler systems and accessibility and things being included as much as we can get. However, sometimes we are limited by the codes that are out there, because as you know, there's a lot of codes and rules, and it's nice to ask for things. Sometimes you can't get them because developers know they don't have to do them. Yes, we're trying to address this with the county. The county is a real hard sell. We seem to be exploding. The problem is, folks like me, I've done this 48 years, believe it or not. I've been a fireman in Rehoboth, so I've served you well. But it's hard to convince them that the development that is going on outside of the city is affecting the amount of work that we have to continue to do. What we did when I first came on with about 100 fire calls and about 200 ambulance calls many years ago, up to what I just told you, over 700 and over 3,500 ambulance calls, is going to greatly increase. The only thing we really have in our favor in our district, believe it or not, is that we're just about developed out. There's not a lot of farmland to develop. Not saying there's not some out there in our fire district, there is, but not like some of these other districts that are exploding, Lewis, Indian River, and Points West. So we're trying to work with them and say, you know, folks, we're still trying to provide you with service with the same amount that we have. I mean, we have turnover like anybody else. You know, not everybody has stuck around like me. You know, I'm born and bred here. I'm a native, okay? You know, a lot of folks we get, you know, move on. There's not a lot of employment opportunity for our folks here. So, you know, when the younger kids now go to college and get educated and find out that they got to go to work to support themselves or a family or whatever, they move away. We do get a few older folks that retire here. They do the best they can. We have some folks, but, you know, they're not the young guys sometimes that we need to carry the hose in the building. We all try. We all continue to try to do it, but it's a vicious circle. So, you know, we're trying to address it. We're not having a lot of luck with the county. They just seem to go ahead and approve. And I will tell you, you know, we work very closely with our neighbors. You know, it's not unusual that if there's what we call a working fire, something is really burning, where there's 4 or 5 departments there. It could be Rehoboth, Lewis, Indian River, Milton, Slaughter Beach, are all at one fire in Lewis, or they could all be here helping us. So it's what we have to do to make it work. And unfortunately, you know, they experience the same things we do. That's why we end up calling one another, because we're all short of help. We have help, but we also are short of help because of the run load. One of the reasons we did employees for the ambulance, you wouldn't want me on an ambulance 8 hours a day, because I guarantee you my boss would not pay me. All right, we used to do it years ago. All right, but we only, you know, we could hopefully get out and back and run a couple ambulance calls. Now it's all the time. In the summertime, it's constant. There's no way volunteers can staff an ambulance now. And it's not just here, it's statewide. It's statewide. There's some slower departments, but busier departments like us, Lewis, and some of the larger departments on the coast. You know, when summer comes, all bets are off. It's constant. So
great, Chuck. Thank you very much for your insight into the future and trying to plan.
Hold a minute, Patrick, if you don't mind. Commissioner Sharp's been waiting a while. Let her go, and then I'll get to you.
I just quickly had one clarification and one question. Did I understand you to say that you service both Dewey and North Shores and neither contribute to your budget?
No, they contribute, but not a lot.
Thank you.
By no means.
The other
they
one
contribute what you
is,
do.
just out of curiosity, is the new fire truck made in the USA?
Yes, ma'am. Made in Wisconsin
you.
if we buy it from there.
Terrific, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gossett?
Thank you. Chuck had answered my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, let me go to the members of the public real quick. Some of you may not want to speak up, just say pass. Carol Everhart, are you on yet?
She's not.
Nope, don't see her. Jen Carroll? Robin Aburo? Jerry Philbin? Cindy Lovett? Mike Edelin? Walter Bringham? Rick Perry?
Pass.
Thank you, thank you. Dan and Greer, and Nancy Alexander, and Allison Miller, they're coming up. Thank you, Chuck. I don't see any more questions from the commissioners. If you or Danny would hang around till we get through the library discussion and the museum discussion, then we're going to come back and discuss further our donation levels.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. With that, thank you. Thank you, Danny. With that, we'll move to the library. I'm not sure who's representing the library. Is that you, Allison?
Yes.
Very good. Allison Miller from the Rehoboth Beach Public Library is on board. Welcome here. And if you would, we'll give you time to discuss your donation request and what the library's been doing for last year.
All right. Well, thank you very much. With my letter, I did include an FY21 report of what we've done. Our fiscal year runs July to June. And for the past fiscal year, we have been busy. One of the most notable projects that we had is with a partnership with DHSS, is we handed out COVID test kits to everyone for free. And for that ran from August 2021 to October 2021. And in that time period, we handed out about 3,400 test kits, all for free and during library hours. Also this year, this has been the first year that we've been open fully and back at full hours since the pandemic. We also filled in some gaps that we had in our staff with the COVID. We had some team members leave us, and then we brought some more on, one of which was a full-time member. And also in that time, we did take 2 PPP loans out, and that totaled about $100,000, and we have utilized those. So far this year in FY22, in our programs, we are already almost at half, and that was from July to December. So of our adult programs, we've had 126 programs with 1,201 attendants, 120 youth programs with 2,133 attendants. So that is in an upward direction compared to last year at this time. So we intend to definitely exceed what we did last year, which was only about 386 adult programs with 3,071 attendants and 100 youth programs of 310 attendants. Our ask this year is for $75,000. That most of that will go to staff and promoting library programs because in this past year or so, we have gone to meet the county pay scale. Part of that decision was because we need to keep in competition with the other local libraries, and in our jurisdiction, we are an independent library, but there are only 3 county libraries which are Greenwood, Milton, and South Coastal. So 2 of the 3 public libraries are within our competing rate wage area. As far as collection, we bought about over 1,000 copies of adult print materials. But also our electronic circulation has been going up. Also this year, we've added Chromebooks and hotspots, Wi-Fi's that can be circulated for 3 weeks. Averaging costs, we save our community $730,000. And once you include the 32,000 circulations for Overdrive and Hoopla, we've saved our community $1.5 million. That's all that I have to report right now.
Very good. Any questions by the commissioners for Allison?
Yeah, I do.
Commissioner Gay, go ahead.
First of all, Allison, thank you very much. I'm a big supporter of the library, and I don't know if you were listening in earlier discussions, but I know, Commissioner Sharp mentioned, the city, certain types of businesses the city needs, like a dry cleaner and a bakery, but I can tell you, I can't imagine a city without a library. So I'm so glad you're here, and that we want you all to stay. And I know that you did I don't know if the survey that you all did recently gave any insights about, what people like best about, or whether more people are coming in. And part of the reason I asked that is, it seems like one of your other requests, you didn't mention this when you just spoke, but in your letter, you also would like some additional 30-minute parking spaces. Is that right?
That's correct.
And I tell you, I think that's probably very necessary, because you don't have as many overall spaces as you should have for your size building anyway. Right?
Yes, according to state records and the Council of Libraries, we should have about 56 parking spaces. We currently, as a building sitting on 3 lots, we own about 12. And then we also have 6 additional spaces given to us in Martin's Lawn.
Right. Okay. And did the survey reveal anything about that? Is that an issue for people, or?
The survey is going on, but yes, the number 1 complaint is parking.
And you think those short-term spaces would help in terms of people bringing things back or getting something quickly?
Yes, because a lot of definitely during the summer, a lot of the people coming in are just coming in quick to pick up a hold or pick something out to read and then leave. So most of their visit is under 30 minutes.
Right. Okay. That's good to know. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, we'll go to the members of the public. All the public's disappearing, I think. Carol, I think you're gone. Jen Carroll, Robin Burrow, Jerry Philbin, Cindy Lovett, Mike Edelin, Walter Brittingham is not back. Rick Perry. No, Dan Slagle, Greer, Nancy, and Allison Miller. We've got you on board. Anybody else for questions for Allison? If not, Allison, if you would be available to hang tight until we get through the next one, the museum, and then we're going to review all the donations. And we might have some questions for you. If you would hang around, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Allison. Hang tight. With that, we're going to move on to the next, which is the museum. Nancy Alexander, are you there?
I'm here.
We'll give you the floor to tell us about what the museum's been doing the last year, and maybe a summary of some finances and your ask for this year.
Sure, happy to. First of all, I want to thank the city for everything that you all do for us. We appreciate all the help that we get. Helps us get through tough times and also fantastic times. So coming out of 2020, we did see about a flat line in terms of visitorship. I think this summer, people were kind of feeling their way through what people were doing, but we still hosted more than 5,000 visitors. One thing I find encouraging is that our membership dollars are up and our membership numbers are up. So I think people have felt that we were sort of a source of comfort and nostalgia during a very difficult time. They were happy to hear from us. In fact, we pivoted and moved much of our programming online. We had more than 500 participants in programs online, which we literally had never done before. So this was a first for us. People absolutely loved it. It's not just local people who are nostalgic for the history of Rehoboth. It's people in Bethesda, Colorado. We've had people participate in our online programs from several other states. So that's been absolutely fantastic. We added more than 400 items to our collection of over 3,000 items. So our collection staff is diligent in working on making sure that we catalog and take care of all of the items in our care. And we're also concentrating, we have a retired museum educator from another museum in Pennsylvania, concentrating on increasing accessibility. So we're using apps on an iPad, an ASL interpreter, and closed captioning on our programming to help increase accessibility. Something I've been aiming at for a long time and happy to finally have someone who has the expertise to help us do that. Coming up, we are actually going to do an 60th anniversary of the Storm of '62 exhibit and programming in March. It is the 60th anniversary of that great storm, and lots of people have memories. So it's going to be a very participatory program where people can come and share their memories as well. And the exhibit will have pictures that even today, I can't believe that the storm was in March and the city was back up and running for that summer. Just the amazing efforts made by everyone to pull together and get the city back welcoming visitors in the summer just still astounds me every time I look at those pictures. We are planning on having more in-person programming as 2022 continues. At the end of the summer, we hope, because we had to cancel it last year, we will have the piping out. For those of you who don't know, Sammy Farrow, who was the band leader at the Henlopen Hotel, had his trombone in the last dance of the year. He led people down the stairs at the Henlopen Hotel and down the boardwalk. I am sitting on a shipment of 250 kazoos, which I was not able to use last year. We had to cancel it. But we have 250 kazoos we're going to distribute. We're hoping to get a lot of people at the end of the summer doing that. Prior to that, we're working on two major projects. One major project is that, unfortunately, the older of the two HVAC systems that services our building is very old. Believe it or not, it goes back to the days of when this was the old Ice House liquor store. And it is failing and failing rapidly. And so last summer was a challenge. We emptied nearly 1,000 gallons of water from 2 dehumidifiers, actually 3 dehumidifiers, including one in our collections area. We cannot repeat that this year. So we have approximately $88,000 of the $120,000 we aim to raise for that new HVAC system. Our other fundraising program a little project that we're running right now for about $35,000 is a little thing that you may have heard about called the Dolly sign. And I'm pleased to report that we started the campaign with half of the funds needed in hand. We are at about 60% of the funds needed in hand. And my favorite thing about this fundraising project is there's so many little handwritten notes that come in with the checks and things from people who are just thrilled that this is still going to be within city limits. So that's keeping me busy. And we're just working on doing the best we can to preserve preserve and celebrate the history of our beautiful city by the sea.
Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate it. Any commissioners have questions for Nancy? Seeing Commissioner LeGree.
Nancy, I think I heard you say we have collected 88,000 of about 120,000 that we're going to need for the new air conditioning system. Is that correct?
That is correct. I just got a $4,000 pledge Friday night.
Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to know.
Thank you, Nancy. Anybody else? If not, I'll go to the public. Really, I'm going to condense this. The only one that looks like he still might be on is Rick Perry. Do you have any comments?
I am on also, but I have no comments.
No, I don't have any comments, Mayor.
No? Okay. Who else has something?
I have no comment.
All right. Thank you very much. With that, thank you, Nancy. If you would hang around a little bit, we're going to start at the beginning again and talk further about donation levels for Main Street. Who's next? Fire Company, Public Library, and the Historical Society. Anybody want to lead off? Maybe Sharon, maybe you'd like to, Sharon, are you able to articulate what their ask is and what any in-kind contributions the city has made to each of these groups, what we've donated before, and what you put in the budget this year?
Certainly,
Whatever you
Mayor.
can share with us.
Starting with the Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Company, the request is for the same amount as the city contributed last year, in the amount of $100,000. That funding would support their operations and other high-level service needs that they do on a daily basis. Also, they're requesting an additional donation of $50,000 to add to their funding to replace, as Chief Snyder spoke, the 20-year-old or almost 20-year-old ladder truck. So they're requesting for a $50,000 donation for that.
Thank you, Sharon. I'll just start off with some generic talk. I wish we had deeper pockets. I wish we could give everybody what they want and even more. And there are limits to what we can do. I'm mindful that, for instance, last year, what the city contributed to the business community, we forfeited parking spaces for pedestrian pathways for outside dining. We forfeited parking spaces for takeout pickup spots. We forfeited parking spaces for meterless Mondays. While we made up for it because of a great year for transfer taxes, et cetera, it still was an overall loss in what we would have liked to have realized in revenues. Now, granted, we're not going that way this year, at least I don't believe we are, based on conversations at previous meetings. We've gotten rid of takeout pickup spots, et cetera. But we're in recovery mode. So I still don't believe we're absolutely flush in monies. I'm also mindful that all these groups solicit our own constituency for money, and that our constituents often donate directly also. That's a good way to get money, in addition to monies from the city. As far as the Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Company go, I guess I'm a little on the fence about giving them over the 100,000. I know I was an integral part years ago in sitting down with Warren McDonald and city staff to be able to break that about 60,000 or so annual threshold request and upped it to 100,000. And the hope there was that they wouldn't come back and ask us every year for additional funding, and now all of a sudden they're asking for 50,000, which is understandable. They've rationalized or they've validated it, and I understand that. But I'm having a little hard time with how deep or how shallow our pockets are. Commissioner Stranowski, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll very broadly say that just going into this, given the amount of projects that we have, infrastructure issues, looking at the capital improvement plan, I am walking into this process not wanting to increase what we're doing for anyone in terms of financial support. Because we have so many projects on our plate and funding requirements within the city. I understand there's a great need for the new fire truck, but I look at what the county contributes. I look at $5,000 from Dewey, 500 from Henlope and Acres. It doesn't even. It's nothing compared to what we've committed, and I think a focus needs more focus needs to be put on those other entities to. So I'm inclined to not to increase the amount and just leave it as status quo. I remember when we doubled it a few years ago, and I very distinctly remember the conversation had at that time. You're not going to come back and ask for more money, right? We just doubled it. So because of that, I'm inclined not to, just to keep it status quo.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gay?
Yeah, I don't disagree on terms of the fire department. I have a general comment and a general question about the funds overall. First of all, I agree it is prudent. We obviously have to watch where all the money goes, but we just raised more parking revenue this morning, and I'm not suggesting that the parking revenue go to fund these organizations. No, I mean, we have a number of amenities that we need to use that money for our visitors, but the taxpayer funds that are going to provide those amenities today could be redirected. Also, my understanding is that we're getting $500,000 from the county as a windfall for their excess transfer tax this year. And I know we haven't talked about that. Was new news to me a few days ago, and I know we haven't talked about it in terms of the budget. But so an overall question is, where does that fit in? Again, I know that they have requirements about how we can use it, but nevertheless, it all goes to the bottom line. And I would like to see us, I think all of these organizations are critical to the community, and I would like to see some flexibility to be able to help all of them and to not have to take from one to help another. But I mean, in terms of the fire department, I agree. I've been frustrated for several years with the fact that we give so much and the other communities they service don't. And I don't know what you do about that. And there's nothing we can do.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Commissioner Sharp?
I'm not particularly troubled by the increases, and I'll tell you why. When I have tried to catch up on the thinking during the pandemic for the revenue losses for meterless Mondays and reserved spaces to go and pedestrian pathways, roughly that seems like around $300,000, if not more, projected losses. And it seems like to me, and granted, I was not there, and this is not a criticism, that there wasn't much heartburn about doing that. There was a very optimistic view that we would make that up and it would all work out. And it did. It worked out quite well, if I'm understanding our numbers in the past. So I'm not troubled at all, especially by a request for a fire truck. That's a one-time deal. It's not, I mean, unless I misunderstood, that the primary reason would be to have a larger contribution for that use. So I guess that's kind of my thinking, that I have a very optimistic view for this coming summer, especially with the summer season starting a little bit early. And I think there's a great deal of pent up demand for people coming here to Rehoboth. So I just don't have that heartburn. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Commissioner Bennett, please.
Yes, I agree with Commissioner Sharp related to the fire department. I mean, I don't know how we don't support a new piece of fire equipment that's 30 years old, considering the growth we have. Where I am a little bit concerned, and again, I'll just state it, but I don't know if there's much we can do. Based upon the chief's numbers of the 748 fire calls, Rehoboth, the city, accounted for 22% of those. And it would just be helpful if the rest of the constituents that rely on the fire department would also pay their fair share. But I considering us with the new building and the density here in town, I don't know how we don't at least contribute something to a new piece of fire equipment. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gossett.
Yes, thank you. I also, looking at this as a whole, the total increase is about $95,000 increase for all four organizations. Actually, Main Street is staying the same with no additional increase request. Going back to comments about the library, I do think that, you know, to make us a community, and there are elements of a community that needs to be a part of that. And we've talked about a pharmacy and a dry cleaners and what have you, but I also think that a library, the post office, and a bank also make up a community. And I think that we need to support those services provided to our community, whether it be within the city limits or a little bit extension, and support that of a fair wage for the individuals that work there, and meeting the services that are required for a community or a downtown area that, you know, we've been referred to as a downtown of Sussex County. I'm not sure if I agree with that or am happy about that, but anyway, a downtown area is greatly needed. And again, the fire department is a protection of our own. They have been here for quite a few years, and I think they will maintain here. And whether the additional truck is part of the fleet downtown or out in Station 2 or Station 3, it is really an aspect of the ability for people to get there and where they live and how to get there frequently. So again, I don't really have a lot of heartburn about the additional $95,000. Commissioner Gay also mentioned that about the transfer tax from Sussex County. I know last year, Mr. Snyder mentioned that the $250,000 for an ambulance, that came last year from the county in their surplus transfer tax. So as it lays out now, the said transfer tax for Rehoboth could be used for public safety services, economic development programs, county economic development director, and public works and infrastructure and capital projects. So I just believe that, you know, supporting our community as they support us, that this is a necessary thing that we need to do. So I feel optimistic about this also. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. With that, let's go to the members of the public, and then we'll come back and see if I want to entertain a motion. Walter Britting, let me see. Is Walter on yet? Nope. Rick Perry, are you still there?
Yes, Mayor, I'm still here. I think one of the most critical services that a city provides is public safety. And, you know, given the fact that the transfer tax, quote unquote, windfall, if you will, can be used for these purposes, I think that it would be wise for the city to make that investment. I understand, you know, some of the frustrations, and I do think that something needs to be done to get the other communities who utilize our volunteer fire department more to contribute their fair share. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's all on the public list. Back to the commissioners. Commissioner Shanowski, please.
Yeah, Mayor, so at the end of the day, if we end up giving them the extra 50 grand for the fire truck, I don't mind, and I think it's money well spent. I think what I'm concerned about doing it now at this point, when we're talking about how there's inequality in who's actually paying for what the fire company does with Sussex County and Dewey and Henlopen and Acres, is that we're setting a precedent where there's no incentive for these other towns to contribute more. They're going to say, oh, well, Rehoboth Beaches is going to bail them out when they need it. Why are we going to contribute more at this point? So I think my not wanting to fund the extra money at this point is so that we're sending a signal to the surrounding communities. But given what I just said, it's probably irrelevant anyway.
Commissioner, I think it's a valid concern. However, I think there's no impact on what we do with what the other jurisdictions are going to do. Dewey is fairly poor. They don't have property tax. They can only spend so much. Henlopen Acres now you think would spend more money, but this is something that's been going on for a decade or more, and there's been no increase that I know of in the amount of funding from these jurisdictions. So I think it's a pipe dream to think that unfortunately that if we hold off, that it sends a message that might be positively reacted to.
I'm understood, and I'm happy to go either direction.
Yeah. So I'd entertain a motion on.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yes.
Question or comment here. I know it is probably not our role to instruct organizations of how to spend their money or how to raise money or what have you, but following along with Commissioner Chernowski's comments about the $50,000 for the additional truck, in other development aspects that I've been involved in over the years, there have been an aspect of matching funds and encouraging other people to contribute. And I don't know whether that's something that could be discussed with the fire department to say that, Rehoboth Beach would match donations 2 to 1, if you will, or something of that nature, to incentivize both North Shores and Henlopen Acres and Dewey to become an active role in this specific piece of equipment that would certainly benefit them all. Again, I know it's not our role, but I think that's an opportunity, maybe something to talk about. As Mr. Snyder mentioned, they're not really even going to be able to order this truck until several months from now. So it's not like we have to write a check immediately. So it's just something I think perhaps someone could talk to the fire service about and see if that's an opportunity, again, to incentivize other communities for this one particular.
Thank you, Commissioner. I guess I'm a little pessimistic on that. That if we chose to do something like that, I would want to give it a finite amount of time. And if it doesn't realize any monies from these different jurisdictions, I would want to go ahead and give the money anyhow to the fire department.
Just a suggestion of trying to incentivize the others to pay their fair share. That's all.
Well, I'd like to take them, if anybody would entertain a motion either in that direction or to give an extra 50,000 or a portion of it, I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, just a clarification, are you going to do them all separately? Okay. Move to approve.
Move to approve what? The additional $50,000 in addition to the normal $100,000 donation expense.
Yes, sir.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Tony Sharp and a second by Commissioner Chernowski to increase the total donations to the Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Department, cash donation of $150,000. Is there any additional discussion? I would say that, yeah, I can be comfortable with this, especially because I think we're getting the extra funding. And I do believe, part of this task, though, is for the city manager to find out where she can get funding. And I feel confident with the extra transfer taxes, et cetera, that we will be able to find that amount of funding. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hand up. I hold it up so I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that passes unanimously. Danny, Chuck, congratulations. Spend it wisely.
Thank you, Mayor. And we're open to sitting down at a table and trying to figure out if we can meet with other entities. If we can get all of us together, that'd be great.
If the mayor can help, let me know. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Mayor.
With that, we'll go to the Rehoboth Beach Museum. Sharon, I'm going to turn it back over to you to talk about what they asked for and year-to-kind expenses, a review, and then what you have proposed for the budget.
Thank you, Mayor. The Rehoboth Beach Historical Society this year requested assistance in the amount of $20,000 and also continuing to pay the museum's electric and pest control bills. Nancy, are you still on?
I'm right here.
Okay. Nancy and I actually discussed, in addition to the $20,000, the city doing some in-kind repairs that are needed. They're very basic. I was hoping, Nancy, you could just talk to them briefly, to the commissioners.
Sure, happy to. One of the things that I've always tried to do is that our lease includes us doing leasehold improvements, and that is why we are raising the money for the new HVAC system, as we did adding a new HVAC system when we completed the second floor of the museum. So we've completed nearly $2 million in leasehold improvements to the building. Most of what we're asking for are help with the service contracts for things like the elevator. Because if we raise the money, we would just, we could use some help because those service contracts over time, the costs are increasing. The small repairs that we're asking for, one of them is to help regularly clear the roof of the museum. We recently had a leak and it was caused by the scuppers and the downspouts filling up with debris. One would think that there wouldn't be anything that would blow onto the roof of this building because it's fairly tall. But I think our proximity to Grove Park means that a lot of leaves and other debris land on the roof. So that was, the scuppers became clogged and it actually flooded into our collections area. We were fortunate in that we had things covered. We reacted quickly, and actually the city did send us help. Rich from the city was my angel for that day, really helping us tremendously. And so if we could regularly get some help with going up on the roof and cleaning the roof and the scuppers, that would be one small thing, maybe do that quarterly. As well, we are increasing our interpretation of the Anna Hazard Tent House. We've done some increased programming there, got a great public response. The front porch is just the paint is peeling. There are a couple of inside repairs that I believe can be done by city employees. Maybe rescreening the porch. So some things that we think that the city could handle over the course of the next 6 to 8 months or so that would help us have a better presentation for the Anna Hazard Tent House. It is one of the original few remaining camp tent houses in the city, and we want to continue to interpret that.
Thank you, Nancy. So in extending our city cooperation with the museum, we can certainly fill in those areas that need some monitoring and some light cleaning, and the streets department has agreed to perform that work whenever they're available to do that.
Before I get to Commissioner Legree, his hands up, Sharon, I think we'll need help in articulating what a motion would be, because it sounds like you've got additional donation expenses that they want that we can fulfill, but also some service agreements. So we need either a dollar value put on them or just articulating what those service agreements are so that they end up in our motion.
Mayor, I would make the motion, if you so choose, anyone decides to do that, in the amount of $20,000, in addition to the city continuing to pay the museum's electric and pest control bills. They have some contracted services there and some general small repairs, but the total is approximately $20,000 in addition to those small bills that the city pays. As far as the other areas, I think we've taken care of that.
So if a motion's made and anybody wants to fulfill this, that it would be to make a cash donation of $20,000 in addition to funding their electrics, bills, and pest control services. Commissioner Legree, your hand's up, and then Commissioner Shanowski.
Yeah, I have watched Nancy scrape and scrabble and try to find money everywhere she could. She's still $30,000 short on the air conditioner, which has to be done by the summer. And here we are, we're the 7th of February. We got March and April, and then we're into May. So I would like to see us kick in the other $30,000 that she needs to have enough money to replace and repair the air conditioner, in addition to the $20,000 that City Manager Lynn and she was requesting, Nancy was requesting with her letter. So that would be a total of $50,000. And I don't think you could allocate that money any better than we would if we sent it to the Historical Society. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Now, please clarify, Commissioner, instead of 20,000, you had to add 30 to it. That makes it yields a donation of 50,000, what you're asking for, in addition to the paying the electric bill and pest control services?
Which we are doing already.
Okay. Any other commissioner comment?
Yeah, Mayor, I just to clarify, Nancy hasn't, is that part of the request? The extra 30,000? No, okay. So I just, Sharon or Nancy, if you can clarify for me, it's not 20,000 and then adding on some of the small repairs and the contracted services. The 20,000 includes all of that, correct?
No. That was my understanding.
Well, the way I understood, Sharon, the way I understood Sharon's explanation is to give them $20,000 cash donation, and in addition, pay for their electric invoice for the year and pay for their pest control services invoice for the year. Sharon, can you verify?
That's correct.
Sharon, I'm sorry,
that's
you're
correct, Mayor.
muted or something.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So,
yeah, now we can, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify because it was a little confusing, but in Nancy's letter, it says 20,000 and these are the items that makes up the 20,000. So I just want to be clear. But Sharon, I wanted to ask a question about the FY22 contribution spreadsheet you sent, because it looked like we budgeted 27,000 in FY22, but then it looks like the donation expense has only been 10,000, and then the in-kind stuff. So I'm confused on why there's a difference.
I believe the 27,000 last year was due to some other repairs that were needed, and the city agreed to pay for them. So don't have the detail in front of me, but
Okay,
I believe
on the spreadsheet that was embedded, it looks like out of that 27, only 10 has actually been contributed. So we might just want to look into that and make sure if it was contributed, it's flagged properly.
Well,
so
yes,
to me, it looks like they're asking for less than they were asking for this past year.
That's correct. That's correct. And they have, we have.
Well, if I could, may I say something?
Go ahead, Nancy.
Is that
Go
okay?
ahead, Nancy. Go ahead, Nancy.
The 10 was for general operating, and on our request, we always listed the cost of the electric and pest control, which was approximately 17,000. So what we've been framing it in the past as a $27,000 contribution, when what has been done is the electric and pest control are an in-kind contribution, and 10,000 was general operating. So we're asking for 20,000 in general operating and the continuance of paying approximately 17,000 in electric and pest control.
So it has increased.
Yeah.
And Sharon, just to clarify, we don't receive any rent for this, right? So there's also an in-kind amount for rent.
Correct.
Well, Mayor, I'll make a motion if you'd like.
Okay.
I have a question before the motion, Ed, if I may. Just, there was discussion of in-kind repairs. Is that just a sidebar that will be managed between the city manager and the administrator there, through Nancy?
Yes, Commissioner Gossett. That's a sidebar that the city agreed to do. So to save money for the museum, and also the question was asked of staff, and staff was able to do that without spending too much labor.
Right, thank you.
And the city owns that cottage, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Mayor, I move for the FY23 budget year, we make a financial contribution to the Rehoboth Beach Historical Society and Museum in the amount of $20,000, in addition to paying their electric and pest control services.
You're muted.
Oh, how'd that happen? Someone would be happy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Gay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Sarnowski and a second by Commissioner Gay to do a $20,000 cash donation to the Rehoboth Beach Historical Society, plus pay their electric invoice for the year and pay their pest control services invoice for a year. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'm going to call the question. Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
Commissioner Tim Bennett?
Aye.
Commissioner Sarnowski?
Aye.
Commissioner LeGree?
I vote aye, but I sure think we should be kicking in to help them with the air conditioner. Sorry,
Thank
Bill.
you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sharp?
Aye.
Commissioner Gay?
Aye.
The chair votes aye, and the motion's carried. Thank you for all you do, Nancy. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Who's next?
Main Street.
Main Street.
Okay, Mayor.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay. The annual budget request from Main Street this year is the same as for next year is the same as this year, in the amount of $60,000.
And then talk to us about the in-kind payments.
Dan, are you still on?
I'm here. The in-kind donations is the building and the electric.
So we charge them no rent. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
Well, yes.
And yet we do pay their annual electric bill, which according to this chart, averages about $2,600 a year.
Correct.
So we're talking about a cash donation of $60,000 plus free rent, plus paying the electric bill, approximated at $2,600 a year. Is there any discussion among the commissioners? If there's no discussion, I'll go to the public. Rick Perry, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here, Mayor. I think I said everything I had to say about this matter in both my email as well as in my earlier comments. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Short and sweet. Thank you, Rick.
I'm on also, and I would like to thank you for the consideration of it.
All right. Thank you. Is this Greer?
Jen Carroll.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Jen. I
Thank
can't
you.
always tell who's talking. With that, we'll take it back to the commissioners for additional discussion or a motion.
Mayor, I move to have a financial contribution in the amount of $20,000 or $60,000 to Main Street for the FY23 year, as well as their use of the building and payment of the electric.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Ed Chernowski and a second by Commissioner Sharp to issue a cash donation of $60,000 to Main Street, plus provide free rent and pay for electric annual bill, which is estimated an average of $2,600 a year. Is there any additional discussion among the commissioners? We've got Ed and then Commissioner Legree.
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to note something. I'm not sure that everyone knows this, but part of that building is still used by city staff too. I think Tim's office, who's in Parks and Rec, has a portion of that building. So I'm not sure that everyone is aware of that. So I just wanted to make that known.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Legree?
Yeah, last year Rehoboth and Bloom had to go out and raise their own money. And that's one of the positive assets of our town. And I'd like to see us ask Main Street if they could divert about 15,000 of that 60 over to Rehoboth and Bloom and make sure that it's directed in that direction so that those kids wouldn't have to go out and have dances and scrape around. And they could use it. Nobody would use it better than Rehoboth and Bloom. Thanks,
Well,
Mayor.
I think if we grant this donation as it is, then they can do with it as they want. If you want to condition it, then I would suggest you make an additional motion that we would vote on first to apply that as you suggested.
Oh, wow. I hate to tie their hands, and I hate to have you ask me to make that conditional. I would have hoped that we could have just suggested that they do that. But
Dan, are you still on?
Wish that I'll I'll condition it.
Yes, I'm still here. Cindy would like to speak on that.
So Dan has heard you, and maybe that's sufficient. Cindy, do you want to respond also?
Yeah, Jay, that's really sweet. I appreciate that. But we've got commitments from Dogfish Head and Shell, and we have grants we're working on. And people love to sponsor these planters and see their plaque. What I do have is Main Street's got my back. So if Bloom gets in trouble, I know that the help will be there. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. And if we get to have this dance, we are going to be in great shape. But
I guess that just shows us when you have something that really works, how it can just propel itself forward. And I think that's just another example of a really valuable asset in this town. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. So is there any further discussion? If not, we have a motion on the floor to issue a donation of $60,000 to Rehoboth Beach Main Street, plus provide free rent, plus provide payment of their annual electric bill, which is an estimated average of $2,600 a year. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'm going to call the question. Tim Bennett?
Aye.
Commissioner Chernowski?
Aye.
Commissioner Legree?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp?
Aye.
Commissioner Gay,
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye also, and the donation is approved as noted. Congratulations, Main Street. You're doing a great job, and our expectation is you will continue to do a good job in all your efforts with all your different agencies within the group. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
And
Rehoboth Beach Library.
yeah, the last but not least, the Rehoboth Beach Public Library. Sharon, go ahead.
Yeah, so this year, the city contributed $30,000, which was the same amount for fiscal year '21. The request this year is $75,000. And it's certainly laid out here for you, but Allison, I think if you're still on, you could elaborate if the commissioners have any questions for that. And I will
Yes,
say that, I will say that Allison and the president of the Board of Trustees made just a brief presentation explaining, where they are and what additional funding they were asking for. But I think if the commissioners have any questions, Allison, it would be important to fill them in.
Yes, I'm here for any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments by the commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I've got a question, Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, so Allison, in your letter, it says that last year the city matched its $30,000 donation. Does that mean we gave an additional $30,000, or the match was just the same as the previous year?
Correct. The match is from the previous year.
Okay, and then why the increase? Why the need from 30 to 75?
The increase is because currently we are working with a $41,000 deficit due to payroll. And that's because we matched the county. And that is also to keep our excellent employees because we want them.
Great, thanks.
Commissioner Gay?
Yes, I had read in Allison's letter about the staff cost expense. I think it's perfectly reasonable. I mean, the city has done that. I mean, the payroll went up in the city's budget for reasons. And given the competing libraries and matching the county pay scale, I think is perfectly appropriate. So I'm in complete support of that. I think the unanswered question is whether or not we can do any of these 30-minute parking spaces. They've requested 3, I think. I don't remember how many, if any, are there now, but is that a possibility?
Well, Allison, refresh our memory on the spaces that are directly behind the library. Who owns all those or controls all those?
They are on library property, so the library owns the 12 that are directly behind the library. There are also 6 additional spaces in Martin's Lawn during the summer that is next to the Oceanus Motel. The only thing that we would like is we have a lot of people parking right in front of the library, just like with restaurants and that sort of thing, that they have 30-minute parking directly in front of their building on Rehoboth Avenue.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we approve the request for $75,000 for the Rehoboth Beach Public Library, and also provide 3 30-minute parking spaces during the operating hours of the library on Rehoboth Avenue.
We have a second?
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Patrick Gossett and a second by Commissioner Susan Gay to make a cash donation of $75,000 to the Rehoboth Beach Public Library and provide 3 additional parking spaces for use during Rehoboth Beach Library public hours. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, I'm gonna just go out there and say I'm a little concerned with this one. I went back, and as far as I could tell, the city was paying the library's utilities in the amount of $15,000. Going back as far as I could find. And then in FY, I think it was 18 or it might have been 19, it went to, I believe that plus a $15,000 cash donation. And it was just 2 years ago that doubled from 15 to 30. And now it's going from 30 to 75. And it's an organization that's running at a deficit. I think we need to ensure that there's accountability and it's being financially responsible, giving it, that it's taxpayer money that we're giving out here. So there's just a few things there that give me some pause on this one.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to question the parking. Allison, for those 12 spaces that are behind the library that are owned spaces by the library, I understand, is it true that you all rent out those spaces after hours?
Correct. We do have, as a fundraiser, we do sell parking on those spaces during the off season. I mean, during the parking meter season, so then they can use it opposite of the library hours.
So of the other existing 6 spaces in the Martin Lawn parking lot, are those for use only of the library during library hours? What I'm asking is, do you also sell or rent those spaces after hours?
The Martin Lawn lot, no, we cannot because they are city property.
Okay. So the same thing would apply. We had 3 parking spaces.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, we only control what's on our lots.
Mayor, if I could just ask Allison another question.
Yes.
Are you audited? Do you have an annual audit of your financial statements?
Yes, we are audited every year because we get most of our funding from the county, and they provide an audit for us annually. Okay. We also have other fundraisers going on. We have annual appeals to help fundraise, and we also have ongoing, the Friends Group is our fundraising, and they do a lot of funds for us as well.
And I'm sorry, Mayor, just one last question. Sharon, are we, besides the cash donation, are we also paying the utilities there?
At the library, yes.
Free water.
I can answer that one. The city provides water, sewer, and trash. We pay for the electric.
Okay, thank you, Allison.
I have to admit, I guess I have a little reluctance going from 30,000 to 75,000. I think I'd be more comfortable up to doubling, but not to 75,000. I just, we're not increasing that much for everybody else. So anyhow, is there any further discussion? Commissioner Sharp.
Just one last clarification. I'm sorry I didn't think of this earlier. Allison, once the $41,000 deficit is corrected, do you anticipate or forecast continued deficits because of staffing costs?
At the current position, there may be, but we did get some one-time funds and one-time grants that have covered it in previous years.
I mean,
Go ahead, Commissioner Sernowski.
Yeah, so Allison, I guess what's troubling to me is, I mean, you guys also got a PPP loan, right? In the amount of $100,000, you said?
Correct.
And that was forgiven.
Yes.
So you would have had $150,000 deficit had that PPP loan not come in because of the pandemic.
No, we had a balanced budget. We make sure we have a balanced budget. That just helped us save some for the incoming years.
Is there any further comment by the commissioners? If not, I'm going to call the question. We'll do a roll call vote. Of course, the motion in front of us is to do a cash donation of $75,000 to the Rehoboth Beach Public Library and give them the use of 3 parking spaces inside Martin's Lawn parking lot for use solely during library hours. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'm going to call the question. Commissioner Legree?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp?
Aye.
Commissioner Gay?
Aye.
Yes?
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
Commissioner Bennett?
Aye.
Commissioner Sernowski?
Nay.
And the chair votes nay, but the good news is the motion carries. Allison, congratulations. Thank you very much. And thank you for all the representatives from the museum, fire department, Main Street, and the library that attended and participated in our budget meeting today. Thank you very much. With that, we are going to go back to Sharon, and Sharon, you decide the path forward, please.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. We have some staff waiting in the wings here. Building and licensing, the building inspector is out, but if you have any questions, I don't know if you did, directly related to that budget, we can defer them or try to answer them for you. We also have the city arborist and the park and recreation director, Elizabeth Lingo, online. And Liz was going to explain a couple of things, one of them being the playground at Lake Gerard and some other areas she wanted to talk to you about. Are you there, Liz?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Just a quick status report for the commissioners. I already told them, and they probably have seen it. The playground is finished. The fencing is in place. We were on budget, correct?
Yeah, we did 10% contingency, so we haven't used any of that. So technically we're a little under budget. And the only thing we have left to do is the surfacing as soon as the temperatures are sustained at 45 degrees or warmer.
Okay. Any other questions the commissioners might have for Elizabeth?
Yeah,
Are we on page 21 of the budget book?
No, I just printed out my individual sheets, so I didn't have to scroll through all 40 pages. But
If you're looking at the budget parks expenditures, that's page 42 of 131. And it starts with line items number 501000.
This is Commissioner Gossett. I have a couple questions. If you could just kind of shed some light on a few things.
Sure.
If I may. Sure. You have an expense of $9,000 for electric. I'm just curious, where is electric used in our parks?
I believe the majority of the electric is for Grove Park.
Grove Park. Okay. And the playground maintenance at 10,000, which I'm glad to see, is, I know we had discussed when we were talking about the tot lot and its reconstruction, a plan 3-5 year plan for restoration or kind of maintenance of all the parks in the city. Does this 10,000 cover any of that, or is that a separate option altogether?
The 10,000 is something I started doing, I believe, a couple of years ago. When I started here, it actually wasn't a specific line item. And that's about what the wood fiber surfacing costs every year. I think that's around 7 to 8, depending. And then any broken or damaged equipment we have on the playgrounds, which every single playground will have something broken or damaged out of the 3 we have. So it's, go ahead. It's just basically keeping that all safe.
Okay, and is there anything reflected in the budget? Am I sort of misremembering this discussion around the tot lot that we were going to look at a multi-year maintenance program for all of the playgrounds?
Well, the general maintenance is covered under that 10,000, and then outside of that, we would just have replacement, which we're not there yet with the other playgrounds. They're both in good condition.
Okay.
And are younger playgrounds than the Lake Gerard one.
Younger,
so we're having very good life expectancy with our equipment, thankfully.
That's great. And I also see that there's a Lake Gerard water quality improvement for 16,000, which is kind of a little bit up from the other years. Are those the aerators in Lake Gerard, or what is that?
I believe that budget is the same as it was last year. That is for the contracts to take care of not just the fountain or not just the diffusers, but also all of Lake Gerard, the buffer maintenance, the water quality. And then we also have 2 other contracts, one for a small conservation landscape area at Silver Lane. And then the other contract is for the Stokely Street Park buffer maintenance.
Okay, and is reflected for Garden of the Navigators, is that specifically called out in here anywhere, or is that a separate contract?
It's a separate contract, but it falls under contractual services.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Sarnowski, please.
Sure. Liz, what's included in contractual services?
Generally, it is our landscape maintenance, our irrigation maintenance, and all the porta potties we rent throughout the year.
Okay. So it looks like it's consistently been about 115,000. However, the year-to-date total is 211,000 for this year. Do you know the reason for that?
Yes. So last year, Bert, Sharon, Evan, and I, we had a couple of landscape projects, which were Lake Avenue Phase 2 and Grove Park, plus their respective irrigation that were located in the CIP originally. Bert made the determination that landscaping should not be in the CIP because it's not depreciable.
Okay.
So what happened was it got taken out of the CIP and it never got added back into the regular budget. So that and then we had quite a few different porta potty rentals for events or something. So that added a couple thousand as well. So that's how it ended up so much higher than normal.
Okay. And it trees, pruning, and landscaping is going from 33 to 80,000. That's a pretty big jump. What's the reason for that?
Exactly what I just told you. So the landscaping projects that were originally in the CIP. So this year that jump is for the State Road Triangle landscaping project, which we actually received grant money for as well. So even though it jumped that much, I think we got around 30,000 in grant money to cover all the landscaping there.
Okay, and that's I guess why is that number in trees, pruning, and landscaping and not the contractual services?
Because it's not necessarily a contract, it's a special project. So it would be like, we're not, we have an annual contract with Spizzato for X amount a month to do these weeding, pruning, basic services, but this would be a special project.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Gay?
Are we talking about the capital part of this, of Parks and Recreation as well here? Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what, page 61 of 131, capital improvement plan, Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, but I have two different, I have something in the book and something on the screen. They both have the December 3rd date on them or something, but they are different. So what I'm seeing on the screen for the latest one is Lake Gerard diffuser for 10,000 and Grove Park Pavilion repairs for 30. Is that right, Liz?
Yes, that would be current.
That's the current one. Okay, so you mentioned earlier when somebody asked about the 16,000 on Lake Gerard. So the water quality, whether that, so is there a connection there between the water quality improvement at 16 and diffuser at 10 or at 10?
So the 10,000, we have 3 different diffuser systems throughout Lake Gerard, which have like the tubing and the head that creates the bubbles in the lake. And then we have the compressor in its little case on land. And they are about 20 years old, and all 3 of them have been rebuilt twice. And 2 of them just gave out this fall. And they really just, it's come to the point where they just can't be rebuilt again efficiently. So it's a full replacement of 2 of those 3, which means upgraded model and better efficiency. So hopefully that 16,000 doesn't go up. We don't use any more services to maintain the water quality.
Okay. And so the Lake Gerard Accretion, I know we put that off from last year. I remember that discussion, but it's being put off again. Is that just, is there a financial reason for that or what?
I think it's more of a logistical reason that we have unresolved issues down in that corner of Lake Gerard. And while those are still unresolved, it doesn't behoove anybody in the city to spend that money. But those repairs are coming. We have the pipe that has to be, the forebay and the pipe that have to be redone. And every year it gets more expensive. So we had from when Todd originally quoted, I believe it was, let me think on my notes, about 53,000, about 3 years ago.
Yes.
That number itself, which didn't include the pipe or the disposal or any of that, that itself has gone up 30%.
Mm-hmm.
So that piece alone is almost 72,000 now instead of 53. So it's imperative that if we want to move forward with this project, that we get everything resolved and before prices get even worse.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate the explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Legree and then Commissioner Gossett. Go ahead, Commissioner Legree.
I need to remind everybody that we don't even have a stormwater management plan yet. And one would hope that the areas, the contributing discharge area around Lake Gerard will be part of that stormwater management plan. And there's a whole litany of things that need to be done with a comprehensive stormwater plan. And I'm going to really have trouble until we get that plan finalized. And Liz, if we decide to prune all the trees on city property, which we talked about with the Trees and Green Infrastructure meeting the other day, what would that do to your pruning budget?
It would probably, well, it depends on how, we didn't discuss exactly how far we wanted to go because the unknowns are kind of Columbia and Henlopen, but just adding in the easily identifiable street trees, we'll call them, ones between the sidewalk and the curb that the city doesn't maintain. Primarily, I'm thinking of like all the pear trees. I'd say easily another 20,000 a year.
And you got lots of trees and shrubs and green infrastructure in the zone that surrounds Silver Lake that would be perhaps part of that too. But yeah, okay, thanks.
Yep.
Commissioner Gossett.
2 questions. The Grove Park Pavilion repairs, what is entailed in that? Is there a description or?
So it's interesting. So I do monthly inspections on all of our physical park assets and the landscaping. And about 2 months ago, a piece of wood had chipped off at the bottom of the pavilion where it looks like the wood support goes into the concrete. And when I got down to investigate it, it was metal, just steel, mind you, not galvanized, which we would expect to see. And there was obviously a degree of spalling. And so when I started poking around, what it was is the wood pieces are like decorative trim for the metal brackets that hold the pavilion structure to the concrete. And so when we started poking around all of them, we could see that every single one that was visible had varying degrees of like delamination, where the metal actually flakes off in layers, not just surface where you can sand it and paint it out. So we had our engineer, Bob Palmer, he met me down there, and what he would have to do is we would have to have it bid out. A contractor would have to peel off those decorative pieces of wood, lift the whole entire roof structure up to see how bad every single one of those metal brackets are on all the posts. And then the structural engineer will tell us how many of them actually need to be replaced. It may not be every single one. So his safe bet was 30,000. It could be, I would hope that it would be less, but it is a little bit of a guessing game, and it's for both pavilions. The good news is that the wood itself is in fantastic shape, and you can look at them and see there's probably about $50,000 worth of wood there. And the concrete pads are both in great shape as well. And Bob Palmer didn't see any reason why they wouldn't last another 20, 30, 40 years once we took care of this. So positive news at least.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing, jumping back, to contractual services, you had mentioned that number includes porta potties. Now, are they rental for events, or why is the city renting porta potties?
Well, we have all the porta potties down at Deauville we pay for. And then I think for fireworks, we rent porta potties or something. That part I actually don't, it's not a contract. I have a contract with Clean Delaware for Deauville, which we bid out about 2 years ago and saved about 50% choosing them. But like everything else, we have a high standard, and we want them serviced several times a week. And we like to have the extended season to match our visitor rates, that people are now coming really early in the year and staying through November. So
if you could at some point in the future, just advise me or all of us as to exact the contract for porta potties for the season. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other comments, questions from the commissioner? If not, thank you, Liz. Sharon?
Mayor, we actually included some information that was requested at the last meeting.
Moving on to building and licensing.
No, I'm sorry, not on the building and licensing. We requested, you have updated information on the city's organizational chart, and you also...
leased vehicles. The leased vehicles as well.
The leased vehicles, correct. We gave you that information for the leased vehicles.
Yes.
I forgot who asked for it.
It was me. I've got it. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Okay.
The leased vehicles, I thought was a great program that implemented by our city manager a couple or several years ago, saved us a lot of money. I didn't know how much. I still don't know how much, but I found it interesting and a little shocking that for leasing, we're spending over $20,000 a month for leased vehicles. Sharon, I just confirm that that's still cheaper than purchasing and maintaining our own fleets?
Yes, Mayor. It's, you know, the first, I'd say, I think it's at least 5 years now. And through the original planning stages, we did save money. We purchased a variety of new vehicles each year, or I'm sorry, we leased a variety of new vehicles. So what it does in the long run is we don't keep vehicles that long, and they don't get to the point where you know, there's just no other option to buy an expensive vehicle, especially in the Public Works Department and also the Police Department. But we have a rotation. The past few years, we've been fraught with some issues regarding time and delivery, but we're going to stick to it right now and hopefully stay on course. Evan is oversees that program, and I think Evan would tell you that the folks running the enterprise program are communicative. They, you know, talk to us all the time, and I think if we do have questions, they're answered quickly.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is, you know, one of the challenges that we ran into this year, we tend to try and replace at least 7 vehicles every year. We ran into a challenge this year just because Ford and the other vehicle makers just aren't producing like they were. They're just not able to. So one of the conscious decisions we made this year was to not try and find 7 vehicles to replace, but to focus on the police vehicles since the Ford Explorers were readily available. I do think, you know, if the current market continues the way that it is, you know, next year, if we were to consider starting to sell some of our vehicles that we leased the first year around, we may end up, you know, coming out on top in terms of being able to sell the vehicle for a really high price and getting some money back that we could then put into our next round of lease vehicles. So I think, you know, the equity that we're building in those vehicles is high, especially in a market like this. But it's not until really we get that 5th year in the books, which would be next year, where we'll see, you know, the benefit of the program.
Thank you. Commissioner Legree, you have a question? Your hand's up.
No, Evan answered the question that I was going to ask, and it sounds like we'll really know more for next year. Thanks, Evan.
So anybody have questions on the budget for building and licensing expenditures? That's page 34 of 131.
Just a question of regards, there's 10,000 in for engineering. Is that specifically tied to a contract or general engineering requests throughout the year?
And building.
What line number are you there? Account number?
Let's see, that would be 511000.
No, CDP.
$10,000.
Middle of the page.
I don't have a page number on mine, actually.
It's page 42.
I'm pretty sure that is related to the update of the CDP.
Okay.
And we do have an updated year-to-date, fiscal year-to-date budget. Bert prepared that ending on February 7th. So, you know, if you've had a chance to take a look at that, you can tell where we are in the big scheme of things. This month we'll be getting our rental taxes and receipts, and we'll be able to add that and recap for you. Other than that, based on the previous contribution discussions, I don't think we have any other money to kick around.
Any other questions for Sharon on building and licensing or recreation department? Any general questions?
Yeah, I just have one general question. We had mentioned it earlier about the Sussex County transfer tax. I don't know if Sharon, you can investigate that a little bit more as to exactly what will happen in that. I in the article that I read, it said that the city would receive $500,000, but it must be any municipality receiving over 100,000 must do a dollar for dollar match, which obviously would not be a problem for us. But I'm just curious if you have had an opportunity with Bert to kind of think through how that money might be applied.
Yeah, there'll be more coming out on that, and we'll get that information to you.
Thank you.
I would just add, Mayor and Commissioners, that the next meeting, so our fourth meeting, is basically the CIP and any follow-up that you would have. That will be on Friday, February 18th at 9 a.m., next Friday, a week from Friday.
Well, I would suggest that if you do have any follow-ups or desire any follow-ups with department heads or comments, that maybe you send them to Sharon for a heads up so that she would be able to search for the answer and if needed, bring in the debt department head. Are there any other questions or follow-ups?
I just have one quick one.
Yes, and then I'm going to go to the public. Go ahead, Commissioner Gay.
Okay, I just wanted to ask the city manager, so do you think you'll have more information on that 500,000 from the county by the meeting on the 18th? Because that's where we're talking about the CIP as a whole.
I would hope to, yes.
Okay, good. I think that'll be important. All right, thanks.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, I'd like to go to the members of the public, and I think the only one left might be Rick Perry. Yep, you're still on. Do you have any thing you'd like to say or share with us, Rick?
Nope. Thank you. It's been, I think, a very productive budget meeting. So thank you.
You have a long endurance. Thanks for staying on board. With that, if there's nothing else from the commissioners, I'd like to be pleased to adjourn our third meeting of the day at 4:27 p.m. Thank you very much.